What if I told you that you could paint this Misty Mountain scene with easy beginner watercolor techniques and one single watercolor paint? One color, one brush for the big soft areas, and one for the little details, and that's it. And I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to look at what's on your paper and think, okay, I could actually do this again on my own. And that's what I'll be demonstrating today. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel, owner of Highlands Artistry and Watercolor Aficionado. I am so glad that you're here. The supplies that you'll need today are short and sweet, which is exactly how I like it. You need paper, whatever one is your favorite watercolor paper. Mine right now is this Bao watercolor block. If you are newer and you're standing in the store wondering what on earth to pick, 140-pound cold press 100% cotton watercolor paper, if you can swing it. Cotton paper stays wet longer, and staying wet is the entire secret to soft, misty edges. You need 2 brushes, one larger one for your washes, and mine is a 1-inch flat brush, and one smaller one for details. This one is a size 6 silver black velvet. But anything like a round brush that comes to a decent point is what you will be needing. And one paint. The one that I am using is Moon Glow, which is a granulating color. Granulating just means that the pigment particles are heavy enough to settle into the texture of the paper instead of staying perfectly smooth. And as it settles, Moon Glow quietly separates into a blue, a violet, and a soft rose. And that separation is doing half of the work of this painting for me. So it's basically fog in a pan, or a paint. Now, you do not need to go buy Moon Glow to paint along. Any granulating gray or muted color in your palette will do just fine. Payne's gray, neutral tint, lunar blue, even a gray that you can mix from burnt sienna and blue, probably ultramarine blue. But don't let a missing tube be the reason that you skip today. Use what's in the box you already own, including the set that you've had for years and never opened. I say that with love. I have some of those too. Everything I use will be linked in the description down below, and if I forget to mention something, it'll definitely be down there too. I'm going to start by wetting the entire surface with clean water, and while that is soaking in, I want to tell you about a verse that I've had rattling in my head all week. Psalm 121 says, "I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." And what got me this time is it starts with lifting your eyes. That's the first move. Before the answer comes, there's a decision to look up, which, stay with me, is exactly the problem we're solving in this painting. Because on a morning like the one that we're painting, you lift your eyes and there's nothing there. The mountain's gone, and you have to decide whether you still believe it. Paper is wet and shiny, not puddled, just shiny. Load your big brush with a very watery mix. This is weaker than you think it needs to be. If you're worried that it's too light, you're probably right where you need to be. Start by holding the brush vertically, using the thin edge in almost a zigzag pattern to suggest a distant, misty tree line. Sweep it across the bottom edge of that first tree line and let it drift down. Grab your paper towel and dab it along that bottom edge, and just like that, there's our first misty tree line. The whole trick of misty work, the farther away it is, the less you say about it. No detail, no dark edges, no trees, just a shape. The paper is relatively damp still. That is the biggest challenge of today, is working quick enough to keep those edges soft. Mix a little stronger, more pigment, less water, and drop in that middle range, overlapping slightly with the first. You're building a staircase of values. Palest at the back, darkest at the front. If you get nothing else from today, get that. 3 values, back to front, is a finished misty painting. We are softening out that bottom edge before grabbing our paper towel once more and dabbing across that bottom edge. Now for the strongest mix that you've made all day, and this is the near tree line. Sharp edges are allowed here. They're what make everything behind them read as distant. Repeating that same lifting method with paper towel. We will go in once the paper is dry to add a few trees, playing with the saturation of each one. Blur out the bottom line of the trees, either by lifting the color with a clean, damp brush, or even easier, use your paper towel again. Then you can grab your smaller round brush and use a random rolling motion with that smaller brush to add depth to the foreground fog. Now, you can play with this. You can pick up more pigment, dab in more pigment, grab that paper towel and lift it back out, and kind of go back and forth until it looks just how you want it. For this next step, I actually use a watercolor pencil, but you can totally use a regular graphite pencil to draw out your fire tower. The benefit of using a watercolor pencil instead of a regular one is just that it dissolves as you add water to it as you paint over top of it. But a regular pencil works just fine. And then for our fire tower, using your small brush again, just the silhouette, 4 legs, a little cabin, a roof line. Don't get too precious with it. I want to say this plainly because I know how it goes. The moment you start fussing over that tower, adding windows and railings and stairs, that's the moment this painting starts to die. I've killed quite a few paintings this way. I have a drawer full of proof. Squint at it. If you can tell it's a tower, you're done. Plus, if you dab your paper towel over the bottom of the legs, it adds to the effect like it's rising out of the fog. As I wrap up here, I wanted to mention something, and it's related to why I picked a foggy subject in the first place. I have been feeling quite foggy lately. Call it sleep deprivation from having a newborn, blame the hormones, blame the fact that I've been absolutely glued to my phone during those late night feedings, caffeine addiction, what have you. And maybe you are somewhere similar. Maybe it's not a newborn for you, but maybe it's caregiving or a health season or a retirement that might turn out to be quieter than what you expected. And you're just like surviving another day, just getting through it. Here's my encouragement, and it is small on purpose. Replace the mundane with intentionality. Make one small habit change, just one. Before you pick up your phone in the morning, start with prayer instead. Thank God for another day. Are you scrolling before bed? Read some scripture instead. And you can fold this right into your creative time too, or let it start your creative time. Meditate on a verse while you pull out your paint and play in your sketchbook. That's what Psalm 121 has been for me in these past few weeks. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And here's what I keep noticing. A phone is a downward gaze. It's 6 inches from your face. It is the smallest thing that you will look at all day long. And I've been starting every single morning there, in the dark, at 4 in the morning, looking down. The psalm doesn't say feel better, it says lift your eyes. It's a physical instruction. Just look up first, and then notice that the help isn't coming from the mountains anyway. It's coming from the one who created them. And I don't think the fog lifts all at once. I don't think it usually does. But the mountain is there on the gray mornings exactly like it's there on the clear ones. And that's the part that isn't up to me. And honestly, thank God. Lift your eyes anyway. That is it from me today. If you painted along, I would genuinely love to see it. Leave it in the comments, wonky towers and all. My first sketch was wonky too. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay creative, stay faithful, and stay rooted in grace. Bye, guys.